YouTube has always been a unique place for idea sharing, conversation, and debate. Throughout its history, many different ideologies and positions have been fought over on this platform. Today, YouTube lays as a major battleground for the war of political correctness. And what's amazing to see is that this fight has brought together people whom just a few years ago on YouTube would be fighting: Christian conservatives and classical liberal atheists. When I first got into watching YouTube, it was around 2010, and I can remember watching the heated debates and ideological battles that went down between both skeptics and believers. However, with the growth of radical political correctness, both kind of see this as a threat to each other. Because of this, new relationships have been formed in an effort to combat social justice warriors, and alongside of that, some really great content has been created. Creators like Sargon of Akkad and Steven Crowder, both whom I'm a fan of, probably a few years ago would be at odds with one another. With both of them fighting modern political correctness, they grew a friendly relationship and actually created really good content where they discussed the existence of God and religion with absolutely no ill will being passed on to one another. And in that spirit, I like to throw my own 2 cents into this. In a time where it seems rational skeptics and believers can come together and have a serious dialogue without any animosity. In this video, I'm going to pose a simple question. Is religion good or bad for mankind? As stated in my previous videos, I am Catholic, so you probably can assume what my answer is going to be. While there still is a bigger question to be asked, like whether or not God exists, I primarily want to stick to my question of religion because I feel like there is a better chance of finding a definitive answer. There are plenty of extremely smart atheists who believe they have the God answer like Sam Harris, and then there are just as equally smart believers like Alva Planiga who differ. Now, neither side has the absolute concrete evidence to prove the other side wrong, nor will they have it anytime soon, so I'd rather focus on religion. So, let's go. So before we move forward, I want to properly define what it is I am arguing and defending. My argument for why I believe religion has been good for mankind is as follows. If the net result of the impact of religion on the world is positive, then religion is good for mankind. The net result of the impact of religion is positive. Therefore, religion is good for mankind. This argument is a very simple modus ponens argument. The first premise essentially lays out the argument and connects the two ideas together, making them contingent on each other. If my A is true, then my B has to be true as well. In my second premise, I assume that A is in fact true. As logic follows with A being true, my conclusion leads me to believe that B is also true. This argument is valid as if my premises are true, then my conclusion would have to be true as well. However, you don't have to believe that my argument is sound. You can simply state that you think that one or both of my premises are not true, making my conclusion as well not true. How do you like that philosophy 101 right there, huh? I pay attention in class, yeah. Now, with that being said, if I'm going to make such a claim, I'm going to have to defend it, and that's exactly what I'm going to do here. I'm going to try to prove to you that religion has been a total net positive in this world. And yes, there's going to be a bit of a Christian/Catholic lenience here. Sorry, not sorry. What I will not do is make an argument on a case-by-case basis that religious people are somehow better than atheist people. Some of my best friends in life are atheists, and some of my favorite YouTubers are atheists, like the aforementioned Sargon of Akkad and others like Armored Skeptic, Chris Raygun, and Dave Rubin. This argument is simply meant to push back on the idea that religion has been some sort of net negative on the world. That is it. This point will be very simple and quick to cover. Often, some critics of religion will point to some bad deeds done in the name or directly by religion. While I'm not here to argue that all religions are the same, and as a religious person I cannot logically agree with that, some critics of religion will point to these bad things done by religion as a main focal point for their arguments, but when certain light is flashed upon certain philosophies or ideologies that they like, they often just deflect the point. To me, it seems like dodging is what they're going for, getting the quick jab of haha, religion's not perfect, haha, while not being able to defend their own ideologies or philosophies that fall short. If your argument is simply that religions are not perfect, then this isn't even an argument for me at all. We are all human beings. Human beings are imperfect and make mistakes. Religions are run by human beings and are going to make mistakes and be imperfect. This argument is a playground argument. Often when you speak with an atheist about becoming an atheist, there are usually similar stories. Something tragic happened to them, like the death of a close one, or they had a rough upbringing, family-wise, bullying, or etc. Or they never grew up in a religious environment and they were influenced by atheistic thinkers. Whatever the case may be, there's always something similar, a thirst to learn more, to want to fill a hole that's inside of them. I contend that all people are like this though. Now, non-religious people would argue that filling that hole inside of you with a supernatural being is wrong because number one, there is no God, and number two, that you will always be unfulfilled and wanting more. While again, I am not here to debate whether or not God is real, I simply want to push back on the idea that being atheist makes you more happy than being a religious person. If you look at almost every study on this subject, religious people always end up on the better side of the happiness scale than those who aren't. I can already hear the hordes of angry YouTube atheists typing in the comments section like, ignorance is bliss, But the results are the results. I think it's because religion brings people together as a community. Lots of different people from lots of different walks of life are brought together as one family. It also challenges everybody to be better today, tomorrow, and etc. moving forward than you are right now. Obviously, this is not true on an individual basis, and not every religion follows suit with this. However, on the whole, religion has made human beings happier. One of the most famous arguments is that religion is the primary source of all war. This claim is a bold one because not every person can singularly point to an example of this being wrong, and it banks on people's knowledge of wars being limited to things like the Crusades and modern-day terrorism from radical Islam. However, this claim is not true. Philip and Axelord's 3-volume encyclopedia of wars, which chronicles some 1,763 wars that have been waged over the course of human history. Of those wars, the authors categorize 123 of them being religious in nature, which is astonishing low 6.98% of all wars. In fact, if you know history, you can name some of the bloodiest wars in human history that were actually not inspired by religion at all. World War I, World War II, the American Civil War, Vietnam, just to name a few in recent memory. With all the knowledge that we have of human history and what we know can start wars, it seems ridiculous to make the claim that religion is responsible for the majority of it. Just to throw a little friendly jab at you, an atheistic ideology has actually been the most deadly throughout the 20th century. Good old communism. This is not to say that wars started by religion, especially my Catholic Church, were not that bad or can be excused. It is simply to point out the idea that religion is the biggest killer or starter of wars is not true. Human beings just seem to kill each other for anything. Now I'm going to cheer for the home team here, my Christian fellows. Often I hear, if you gotta believe in a fairy tale man in the sky to tell you not to be bad, that makes you a bad person, or something to that effect. And to that I say, scoreboard. This type of argument brings me back to my athletic days. It reminds me of the trash talking that would go on between the teams I was beating. Oh, if only I didn't hit into that double play, I would be winning. Or if only if I didn't get that foul, I would have scored more. And every time they would make that comment, I would just say, scoreboard. Here is the reality. There has only ever been one real atheistic ideology that has really taken true political and cultural power, and it has been communism. And ever since the turn of the 20th century, communism has been the evil in the world. Now I understand that not all atheists are communists, and that is true. I do not want to lump all atheists in with the communists. What I'm trying to say is that whenever atheists try to make the claim about all the wrongdoing that religion has done in the world, all they want to do is look at the negatives, and they never want to look at the positives that religion has done. And in my research and in my opinion, so much of the good that has been done in this world has been done in the name of religion, especially Christianity. This isn't to say there hasn't been any atheists that have done great good in the world, but if we're going to compare the two, it isn't even close. I want to end this video by recapping something I said earlier. I don't hate atheists. In fact, quite the opposite. I have many friends and family members who are atheists, and I love them all. When it comes to making this ultimate life decision for someone, it is very hard, seeing as there are compelling arguments for both sides. Right now it seems that people of faith and skepticism are friends in their fight against SJWs, and I hope that those bonds that are created stay strong forever. Because ultimately there are fundamental differences that exist between these two kinds of people in the place of the biggest question of human life. Is there or is there not a God? At some point, these viewpoints and differences are going to come back into the spotlight, and I hope that these bonds that have been created lead to good conversations when this happens. you.